Hey everybody, it's Paul with CDA. We're going to go ahead and get started today with system settings. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the utilities menu and we're going to go to system settings. So what I'm going to do is just going to move this over here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to follow this flow and we'll go through all the options. So the first thing we'll notice is it says mandatory to enter in the receive code, which is over here. Mandatory to enter in the department code, which is going to be over here. And then mandatory to enter in taken by, which is over here. And then validate when changing coverage type. And so if you're changing parts or if you're changing labor, you're going to go ahead and get a validation. And then you'll notice there's one that says update all text when changing the primary tech. And so what happens is, I'm just going to move this out of the way, is that when you change the primary tech over here, any reports that had another technician assigned to it will be overwritten by the primary tech. And so that has to do with reports. It's going to be right here. And then there's another one that says disable the scheduled date when the job is paid in full. So when you're in billing, you say paid in full. That means that the scheduled date will be blocked, so you can't accidentally get it on the schedule. And then we have another checkbox that says don't allow labor charges when the job is marked as rework. So right over here we have a button called recall. Recall is the same as rework. And what that means is that when you go to totals, you can add labor. Now you can still add a labor charge as a line item, but you won't be able to add the amount. So the amount is not necessarily grayed out, it's just not calculated. And we also display a prompt. Let's go ahead and take a look at that actually. So let's go to totals. Let's make this a rework. We're going to go ahead and do a save. Let's go to totals. And what we're going to do is we're going to add something canned. So we're just going to say add. We'll just click on this. It's $99. And notice it says, hey, this job is flagged as rework, so we're not going to add the amounts. We're going to say okay. So we can still add the line item, but it's just not doing any type of totals. So let's go back to system settings. And now let's go ahead and take a look at the warranty forms and the COD forms. So this is just asking how do you want to print it? What information do you want to include? Do you want to grab the signature that's on file? And do you want to include company info? And then for COD forms, what's your letter size? You can select that. And here's a pretty important area. This has to do with commissions. So depending on how you calculate commissions in your company, you can either say auto calculate when job is complete, auto calculate when job is paid, and or do not auto calculate commissions. So depending on how you pay out commissions, this will be a pretty important area for you to want to get to. And now we have what are called other settings, and that just says show unit and extended prices on purchase orders, prompt before printing your part labels, prompt before you send an email. And then this is the number of work orders to print if you still print your work orders. And then this is the number of minutes to check for the message center, which is our internal communication center to communicate back and forth with your employees instead of using email. And then this says the number of days to search availability when you're in the scheduler. And that's set to 21 days. And then this is a legacy checkbox or input box for purging, which we no longer do for the schedule. And now let's just go over, we have some messages. This is COD invoice message. You would enter in that information here. Work order message, you would enter that information here. Counter invoice message, you would enter that information here. Claim check message, you would enter in all that information in here. And then we have third party invoice, which is right here. And then the last one we're going to take a look at is legal message, and you would enter in all your legal information right here. So you can see, again, this is going to be the system settings area that we got to get to it. You go to the utilities menu, you go to system settings, and then you take a look at what input is going to be appropriate for you. And it looks like I didn't talk about the email setup. So this is just the email setup where you'll put in your email information so that you can send out email communication. Without filling this out, you would not be able to send an email to your customer to let them know of important information. So that will conclude our video for how to set up system settings and how to get a better understanding of what all these options are.